As much as you plan these things, when you have shooting situations that are completely out of your control, it never turns out how you want it to. You're always running around with the camera, something happens over there and you have to run and get it. And you do have to compromise, the shot sometimes. Here Now is a short documentary about free movement skateboarding, who are a charity based in Athens, who use skateboarding to work with refugees and sort of promote things like gender equality and integration, mental well-being.
I'm 12 years old and I'm from Afghanistan. From water, from mountain, with a lot of snow. One time we go and the police take us and we can't go. We go another time, 24 hours we was in mountain with snow.
2, 3.
We didn't want it to be a film about the refugee crisis per se, because we thought that was quite a wide and complicated issue to unpack. We kind of wanted it to just be about the people and to just know how this thing, skateboarding, has helped them. Here Now was my final project in my third year. We made it in April 2018. And my friend Joe has a friend who lives in Athens and had done some work with the charity and sort of told Joe about it, and Joe told me, and we thought it was just a really cool thing because we're both skaters and we both thought this would make a great story and we'd love to go and see it ourselves. There were a good few months of sort of emailing and phone calls and planning, and we had like big sketches on the wall, and we had this, quite a lot of planning went into it. This was the second film I'd done with refugees. One thing we learned was that there is a level of sensitivity that comes with working with vulnerable people. It's quite different to other films I've done. You don't know what kind of trauma they might have been through. There are just certain things you should avoid asking. You have to sort of tread lightly. In this particular project, there were things we weren't allowed to film. We weren't allowed to film in the refugee camp. So when we were there, we just had to put our cameras away entirely, which kind of, as a filmmaker, was hard because we thought this is kind of a place we can get some really good material and we can interview more people, potentially the families, but we just had to kind of say the well-being of these people is more important than our film. We didn't have permission to film a lot of them because they don't have legal status there. We couldn't film faces of the majority of people, so we had these big sessions where there may be like 30 people all skating around, everyone's learning, there's people whizzing past the camera, and we had to kind of try and frame out faces as much as we could. So if you watch the film, there are kind of these like actuality sequences with the teachers who we could film, but then if the subject turned around, we kind of had to try to frame their face out, and I think we did a good job, but then when you watch it, some of the shots it's a bit weird. You're like, why are they just filming the floor? Why are they? Because one of the ways we got around it was sort of filming feet and filming the back of heads. I think we had 4 children who we had permission to film, but we couldn't use their names because sometimes they can be deported. Will, the head of the charity, told us an example of a film that went out for another charity and someone was identified through the film because their name was in it, and they were actually deported and sent back to their own country. Those shooting constraints definitely sort of changed the way the film looked in the end. As much as you plan these things, when you have shooting situations that are completely out of your control, it never turns out how you want it to. You're always running around with the camera, something happens over there and you have to run and get it. And you do have to compromise the shot sometimes. It definitely changed the way the film looks for us, but we're still really happy with the story, and that's kind of one thing we learned, is that the story is far more important than how it looks. If people engage with your characters, then they engage with the film a lot more, and I think it's quite tempting when you're doing documentary to sort of treat the characters as if you kind of want a specific line, you kind of want them to say something, and you're just kind of trying to squeeze that out of them in any way you can. Whereas if you can actually just take some time to get to know them and learn the real them and let them open up for themselves and be more natural on camera, then you're going to have far more engaging characters and a much better film. Honestly, I think the best thing for me was not even the filming, it was just sort of meeting all these amazing people and actually being able to work with the charity, because me and Joe both skate ourselves and we couldn't film in the refugee camps. We could join in the sessions and we could sort of take up the role of a teacher. When you do something like skateboarding in this country, it can just feel like such a kind of pointless thing to do. You're just riding a bit of wood around, it's just for fun. People shout at you on the streets, they think you're a villain. And then you go over there and it's like people appreciate it so much that you can teach them and they think it's amazing and it can do real good for them. So it felt so good to be able to use something I'd learned here that felt sort of silly and sort of take it over there and see how much good it can really do for vulnerable people.
It's not about comparing yourself with others, just comparing to yourself from yesterday.
1,
2, 3.
If you want to watch Here Now, you can watch it by following this link here, and don't forget to subscribe. That's mental. I just leave, what's my hand doing? You can watch our film Here Now by following this link, and don't forget to subscribe to the channel for more great videos. Here.